Hello, and what is happening? What is happening? 8 months ago, I made a video installing the Corsair H60 CPU cooling system after a power surge damaged my gaming PC during a major windstorm that hit Alaska earlier this year. That windstorm created power outages that damaged most of our appliances. The TV was a total loss. Luckily, we have home insurance and they replaced the TV for a new one. They also repaired the appliances that were damaged by the power surge, the washing machine, the refrigerator, and some of the lights. I could have let the insurance fix my gaming PC, but I ended up fixing it myself, which I did. I can say that after 8 months, instead of what was supposed to be just a few days of testing, I'm happy to say that my gaming PC has had no problems and still working perfectly. But as I said in that video, the H60 CPU cooling system was never intended to be the definitive cooling system, but rather a temporary solution. And I was supposed to replace it after a few days of testing. And the reason I didn't replace it back then, was because I have been traveling a lot. But now that I'm back, at least for a couple of months, I will take the opportunity to replace it. So 7 months ago, I searched for a good affordable cooling system and I found the Corsair H115i Elite Capelli series. This is a powerful liquid CPU cooler with low noise fans that can compete with many CPU coolers larger than itself. This is one of those rare occasions where a older two-fan CPU cooler with a 280mm radiator offers similar and consistent performance, just as good as any newer and more updated three-fan CPU coolers with a 360mm radiator. That is why I chose the H115i Elite Capellis instead of buying a more modern CPU cooler. It was a no-brainer, it performs similarly to the newest one, it has a life expectancy from 5 to 10 years, and I bought it brand new a few weeks after I installed the H60 CPU cooler 7 months ago for less money than I will be paying now for a more modern CPU cooler. Things are not getting cheaper these days. The prices for everything have gone up by a lot, so I have to be more cautious with my spending. With that said, from the outset, I would say that I knew my PC case was not that large. It is a medium-sized case, which it could be a bit small as its size limits finding a good place to install this 280mm CPU cooler. The size of my PC case was something that I took in consideration before I went ahead and I purchased the Corsair H115i Elite CPU cooler. It is always advisable to know the size of the PC case before buying a new CPU cooling system. Believe me that you don't want to find out that your PC case is too small at the time you begin with installation. In my case, I already had an idea of where in the PC case I could install this 280mm CPU cooler. The only logical location due to limited space was to install this 280mm CPU cooler on the inside front of the PC. And to do so, I will have to remove and relocate those three fans to create the necessary space for the installation of this new cooling system. And like I said, I will be reconfiguring all the fans to maximize the airflow into the PC. Believe me, your PC will thank you if you decide to increase the airflow inside it. Increasing the airflow will benefit your PC by preventing dust from accumulating inside it and by helping your PC stay cooler. Keeping your PC cool helps prevent performance degradation, it reduces the risk of component damage, extends the system lifespan, and also ensures that your PC, CPU, and GPU operate at their optimal speeds. So don't let your new CPU cooling system do all the work. It is a teamwork, and if you have extra fans, don't shelve them. Instead, put them to work. Now, one thing I always recommend doing before starting any installation is to always clean your PC. If you already open it up, why not clean it? It is always recommended to clean a gaming computer every 3 to 6 months. I usually clean mine every 4 to 5 months, and like Samuel L. Jackson would say,
enough is enough. I have had it with these motherfucking dust on this motherfucking CPU. Everybody strap in. I'm about to blow air on this motherfucker CPU.
And after that wonderful inspirational speech from the great Samuel L. Jackson, I will be proceeding to remove the H60 CPU cooler to begin with the installation of the new cooling system. One thing I recommend everyone do before touching any components is to make sure you touch something metallic before you touch anything inside the computer. Static electricity is not your computer's worst enemy, but surely it can permanently damage a computer's internal components when its sensitive parts are exposed, like in the case of those teeny tiny microtransistors chips, who are very vulnerable to damage from static electricity. Even a static discharge that you don't feel can carry enough voltage to destroy these components. Your clothes, carpets, and some other things can create friction, and friction translates into static electricity. And this is not the reason why I always wear gloves when I'm repairing a computer. I wear gloves not to avoid static shocks, but to prevent sweat from touching any internal components. Sweat isn't so bad if you let it dry, but salt is. Sweat contains salt and minerals, in other words, electrolytes, which can conduct electricity that can cause a short circuit and destroy the hardware. These are the 3 fans that I will be removing to make the space to install the new CPU cooling system, because once again the inside front of my PC was the only logical location where I can install a larger CPU cooling system. So I will remove them and relocate them somewhere else after I finish with the new CPU cooler installation. Also, I will be drilling on the PC case to make holes because it is the only way that I can attach the new CPU cooling system. This mid-size PC case was not built to have a larger CPU cooling system installed in it. Yeah, probably should have done this before I started drilling, but initially I wasn't worried about the metal dust because I was going to use compressed air to do a final cleanup. But then I remembered that metal dust is almost like glitter.
Please, no glitter. It gets everywhere.
It is hard to get the tiny metal particles off the desk cloth. So no thank you. Some time ago, someone asked me how can someone who doesn't know much about computers can tell the direction of the fans. And that was a very good question because it is very important to know which direction the fans will be facing. Either you want the fans to pull air into your computer case or you want the fans to push air out of your computer case. So I told him it was very simple. Some fans have a small arrow that indicates the direction of airflow. This means that the direction indicated by the arrow will be the side where the air flows. And with fans that don't have an indicator, the easiest way to know is by the logo. What I mean with that is that the fan blows air away from the side of the logo and towards you on the side of the frame. Always remember this, a PC fan with the company logo will always be the side that the manufacturers of that fan want you to see. So again, logo equals air goes out, frame of the fan equals air goes in. Another thing you need to know is the position of the radiator. Not all CPU cooling systems are the same, so it is good to know that. For example, mine is a Corsair ICUE H115i RGB Elite Capellis all-in-one liquid CPU cooler, and this one can be mounted at the top of the case or at the front, and it is designed so the bubbles don't get trapped anywhere near the outlet tube. And in this case, I'm installing mine at the front, and the one thing that I made sure was to place the radiator higher than the pump. This is why I drill holes in the PC case, so the radiator top is above the highest point of the pump. And later on the video, you guys will see what I mean with that. But before I show you, I will first place some of the fans that I removed from the front of the PC, and I will place them on the top. It is important to know that when you install fans on top of the case, you want the fans to push air out because heat naturally rises. So you want the fans to remove the hot air from the inside of your PC case. You do not want the hot air to return to the inside of your computer. Because believe me that your computer will not be happy if you put those fans to send the hot air back in instead of making them send the hot air out. So in this case, I will install the fans with the logo facing in. Now that that is done, I will be cleaning the old thermal paste. Something I didn't do when I installed the H cooling system 8 months ago. One thing that I forgot to mention in that video is that most Corsair all-in-one liquid CPU coolers already come with thermal paste already applied, so you don't need to worry about buying, removing, and reapplying a new thermal paste. And as I said in that video, the reason I didn't remove the old thermal paste before installing the H60 CPU cooling system was because I wanted to test the thermal paste that was already applied on the CPU. I wanted to test it, even if the H60 CPU cooler already had thermal paste applied. As I said in that video, it is a complicated topic, So I recommend that you go and watch a video that explains everything about thermal paste. Okay, now this one has more to do with statics and preferences. In case you want to customize your Corsair CPU cooler pump, the installation kit includes a white plate for the pump, as well as the necessary screws and an Allen key for installation. The process is very simple and fast. The plates can be removed and reinstalled very easily. And to be honest, I like the black plate, but I want everything to match. So I'm going to swap this plate for the white one so it matches the white fans. Plus, I think it will look great with the RGB colors. Finally, after installing the last fan, I will connect all of the fans to the power supply and run a test before reassembling the PC. The test is just to make sure that everything is connected and working properly, because mistakes happen all the time, and testing is always an excellent idea and a very good practice, as testing helps identify any problems and ensures that all components are working properly. Because believe me, you will want to identify any potential problems such as defective parts, loud noises, overheating, identify issues with the fans and with stability. So save yourself a headache and run a test before finally reassembling the PC. And if the reason you don't run a test on your computer after an installation is because you don't want to turn your computer on and off, and you would rather wait to connect a monitor, a mouse, and a keyboard to run a test, then let me tell you that the risk is very low compared to the possible problems that might arise from not testing it first. But if you prefer to connect all the devices to run a test, sure, you can do it. But me personally, I will prefer to keep things simpler. Less devices connected to the computer, the best for the test. And just so you know, the newer machines are designed to deal with these problems. Turning your computer on and off will not damage the CPU or the software, unless they already have problems, and even then, it's very unlikely that anything serious will happen. But what I can tell you is that assuming that everything works properly is a recipe for disaster. Having a component installed incorrectly is something you should be very concerned about. But at the same time, I'm not saying to turn on and off, on and off, on and off your computer. Once or twice you turn your computer on and off will not cause your computer to malfunction. Just saying. And speaking of making sure everything is connected and working properly, here is a clear example of what I've been saying. For some reason, I didn't connect one of the CPU cooling fan. And as you all can see, I connected the fan to the power supply without the need to turn off the computer. Alright, about this fan. I'm placing this fan in front of the computer case not because I want to increase the airflow inside the computer or because it's going to help to cool down the CPU or any of that. I wanted to do this from the beginning. I had already decided that I wanted to place a fan in front of the computer case because I thought the front of the PC will look too dark after removing the 3 RGB fans and placing a radiator in front of it. So I thought of the idea of placing at least one RGB fan in the front because it will look cool. Basically, I'm doing it just for the cool factor. Simple as that.
Everybody gets one. Tell him, Peter.
Apparently everybody gets one.
Bingo.
In the video that I made 7 months ago, I said that I installed this hard drive because it was collecting dust. So it was better to put it to a good use than just laying around. I also said if one day I need this hard drive, I will use it. Well, that time is here. Right now, I need a hard drive for when I'm traveling because the one that I used to take with me is broken after I drop it by mistake. I'm always taking lots of videos and pictures, so I'm going to use this one until I buy a new one or I repair the one that is broken. I will make a video repairing the hard drive, but right now I think I'm done with this upgrade, so yay! Now tell me that I didn't make the right call about placing an RGB fan in front of the computer. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but in my opinion, it looks coolio. the computer is so quiet that you cannot tell that it is on. Right now, I'm using a Bluetooth mouse and a Bluetooth keyboard, but just for the sake of the test. Well, that's it. Now I'm going to plug the keyboard and the mouse and call it good for tonight. So I'm going to bed. Later. But before heading to bed, I decided to play a few 4K videos and I opened Premiere Pro at the same time I was playing a video game. And the computer is not hot at all, so I am happy with the end result. And my gaming PC looks fantastic. I'm glad that I finally did it after 7 months. And now that my PC is up and running again, I will be making a new video later on. I will try to repair a hard drive that I broke by mistake. Hopefully I can save it. I have a lot of videos and pictures in that hard drive that I really want. But for now, that's it for this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time. See ya.